Hey guys, welcome back to the Electric Bike Lab. I'm Miles.
I'm Samil.
And today we got a wicked video for you guys.
Since e-bikes have bursted onto the scene just a few years ago, people are always looking for more. More power, more speed, more range.
We often get asked, what would you do to modify an e-bike? And the answer is always, it depends on what kind of bike it is. Well, the good people at Troxus have brought to us their Lynx so we can see what we can do to modify it for the absolute most performance possible. So this bike comes in with some really nice components right off the get-go. First thing we're looking at is the Bafang G062 750 watt motor. Now this is a real 750 watt motor from Bafang. It's very strong. These guys really spec'd this thing right. The battery, 48 volt, 20 amp hours. Now that is a lot of range for a factory e-bike, and it's in this nice durable casing that quickly releases from the bike using Samsung 50E cells. Very nice cell. It's a really nice battery. If you look at the frame, this thing is beefy, robust. This is a really strong bike, and that nice step-through design, really easy to get onto. I really love these upright handlebars. They're really cool, and I think they really help to make the bike comfortable to ride. It's got a really nice LCD. The stock display looks really good, really easy to see. The rear rack, I really love this wood kind of integration that they did. Looks really good, and also just looks super strong how it's integrated into the frame. The suspension fork, that's a nice feature. It's got some decent tires. And the Tektro mechanical disc brakes, they're pretty good. This is about as good as you can get for mechanical disc brakes. And also integrated lights, front and rear, and brake lights.
So this is the existing controller here. It is a 48 volt 22 amp controller, which is about 1,000 watts of power. And then we want to put on the ASI BAC 855 controller.
Yeah, so the ASI 855 is really well known from accelerated systems. This is a super power dense controller. It's able to do 90 phase amps. It can take a voltage range from 36 to 72 volts. And it can see peak powers around 4,000 watts. It also allows us to connect to most displays. We can do cool features like Regen, braking, pedal assist, all that kind of stuff. So this is going to be the controller that we're using.
How are we going to be upgrading this motor?
Yeah, so if you look at a geared hub motor, if we pull it out of the casing, it actually has gears. What you'll notice is that the motor is able to spin one way, but it won't spin the other way. That's because it freewheels. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna weld this clutch shut so that the motor no longer freewheels. This is gonna allow us to use our Regen braking. And we're also going to seal the motor inside the casing. And we're gonna be using a fluid in order to help with cooling. And so the main fluid that people use for this kind of application is automatic transmission fluid. You may have heard the term Statorade from other motors. That's mainly direct drive motors. And Statorade allows liquid cooling of the motor by filling the air gap with a liquid and bringing the heat to the shell. That's not really an option on a geared hub motor, but if we do ATF, or automatic transmission fluid, it's gonna allow for way better heat dissipation from the motor core to the outer shell.
So for our Regen braking component, we're going to use a thumb throttle, one that looks like this. And the reason we want to add Regen braking is to support the mechanical brakes and add more braking power, especially from higher speeds to slow down.
And it's also going to improve the range just a little bit, and it's going to offset wearing down the brake pads. The ASI controller also allows us to run up to 72 volts, and so we're going to be taking advantage of that.
Adding a 24 volt battery in series with the 48, it'll allow for more higher top speed.
And that's going to be also a way how we get the maximum amount of power out of this whole setup, because this battery that we have is only able to draw 40 amps out of it before the BMS starts to cut it out. So if we have 40 amps total from a 72 volt setup, that's going to give us roughly 3,000 watts, which is right about where we want to be for our 3,000 watt triple performance compared to the stock bike. So where the rubber really meets the road literally is going to be the tires, because an e-bike tire is a thin bicycle tire, and if we're trying to get maximum performance, we're going to actually want to have some safety with it. So one of the biggest things that we can do for safety is upgrade to motorcycle spec tires.
So as you can see, this is the tire that's existing on the bike, and it's not very strong, it's flimsy.
Yeah, it's just got way more rubber. So motorcycle spec tires just have a way thicker carcass. They resist punctures, and flat tires make us feel safer when we're going inevitably faster with this higher power setup. So if you guys want to follow along, in the next video, we're going to be doing all the motor mods. We're going to swap out the controller package, and it's going to be a good one. So make sure to subscribe, stay tuned, and we'll see you then.